Hey, welcome to Dating Advice for Men Who Love Women. If you're a guy who recently just got out of a relationship with a woman, and especially if she was the one who ended it, then this presentation is for you. And I'm going to start out by giving you some just general thoughts about breakups and divorces with women. And then I'm going to talk about what I think about trying to get your ex back. And then we're going to talk about the three main reasons why your relationship potentially ended. And by the end of this presentation, I want you to have a lot more clarity about what happened and where to go from here. So let's get started with just some general thoughts about kind of a relationship ending with a woman. And so, first of all, I think we should just acknowledge, yeah, it probably sucks, especially if you were not the one who ended the relationship. And even if you were the one who ended it, you probably still have some residual feelings of kind of caring about your ex, and it might have been painful to kind of let her go. And on the other hand, if she ended things with you, that's usually extremely painful for most of us. So let's just accept this and own it. Yeah, it probably sucks. Okay, it's not fun to go through a breakup, obviously. And so let's just start out by accepting that going through a breakup is hard for most of us, and it doesn't make you weak. It makes you a human being, and it's not a bad thing. It just is the way it is. All right, so number two, give yourself time. Okay, this is a pretty good guideline. They say that it takes about 2 months for every year that you're together with someone for your emotions to kind of reset back to their foundational normal level. Okay, so if you're with someone for a year, it's going to take a couple of months for you to process all of your emotions and get back to normal. And if it's 5 years, then 5 times 2 is 10 months. It's going to take almost a year for your emotions to calm all the way back down to the baseline level if you were with a woman for 5 years and then she broke up with you or divorced you. Okay, so give yourself that time. Just expect that. Realize that's the way it is and we can't do anything about it. And give yourself that time. Because if we deny this and we try to have relationships too soon after a breakup and we haven't given ourselves enough time, it's probably just going to be a rebound that's not going to work out anyway. And there's nothing wrong with a rebound. You can go for it if you want to. I'm just saying that it's going to take some time probably for your emotions to reset, and I think you should give yourself that time and be nice to yourself during that time and just realize that's the way it is. We're not robots. And consider this. When two people break up, the one who gets left or gets dumped, their interest usually doubles in the other person. So if you already were in love with a woman and then she leaves you, you're going to tend to be even more in love with her after she leaves. That's an interesting dynamic about how breakup works. So just consider that, the act of her leaving you, if that happened, probably doubled your interest in her. And so you're going to feel a strong pull towards her, and it takes time to process all of those feelings. And remember that women are usually the ones who leave a relationship. It's almost always a woman who's leaving. It's way more often than men doing the breaking up. Okay, so you are not alone in this. If a woman left you or divorced you, you're not alone. It's usually the woman who leaves, and it's happened to some of the best men in the world. Okay, so keep that in mind. Attracting a woman and building a good relationship with her is a separate skill from everything else in life. I have personally coached some of the most successful people in the world in terms of they're great at sports, they're amazing at business, they're good at acting, etc. Okay, or they're a musician. And some of the most successful men in the world in one area have big problems when it comes to women. And even some guys who are pretty good socially and have good relationships in general, it's a specific skill to interact with a woman in a romantic relationship. And they either chose the wrong woman or they didn't do all the right things with her, and now the relationship has ended. Okay, so you're not alone in this. This happens to some of the best men out there in the world, and it doesn't mean anything about you as a person, which gets right into our next general thought, which is there is no failure, only learning exists. So whether you ended the relationship or she did, it doesn't matter. The fact that you broke up or got a divorce does not make you a failure. Okay, you're experiencing a breakup or a divorce. It doesn't say anything about who you are as a person in general. Again, this happens to the best people in the world. Doesn't mean anything about you in general. Okay, so you are going through a breakup or a divorce. You are not a failure. And if you feel some pain from this, just use that pain as motivation to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Because, like I said, interacting with a woman in a romantic relationship is a skill, and it's a skill that you can learn and improve on. And in your next relationship, this won't happen if you follow all the right steps and you kind of know what's going on a little bit more. So if you're in pain, just use that as motivation to do it better next time, not to put yourself down. It doesn't mean anything about you. It could happen to the best person in the world. Okay, so adopt this growth mindset of you're not a failure. It's not true. It's just not true. Especially if you don't give up. Only learning exists. And if you have that growth mindset, then that's going to help you heal faster than if you just put yourself down like, oh, I'm such a failure. I'm such a bad person. This sucked. It's my fault. Well, okay, but that doesn't mean that you are a failure in general. It just means that maybe you made some mistakes this time, or maybe you just chose the wrong woman, and we can correct those things for next time. And with this growth mindset, you're going to do a lot better the next time you're out there dating and the next time you're in a relationship with a woman. So you going through this breakup does not make you a failure in any possible way, okay? It's just something that you're experiencing. And then lastly, I highly encourage you not to go back to your ex. So if you just got out of a relationship, especially if she left you, you're probably going to feel very strongly that you want her back. So maybe you really, really want your ex back. And here's the thing. As a dating and relationship coach, if I wanted to make a program about how to get your ex back or a book and sell it, that would be the easiest thing in the world to sell to you. Because when a person is in pain, they want a solution to that. They want the medication. They want it to be fixed. Okay, so right now when you're in this state of pain and you want your ex back, that's the easiest time for me to sell you something. But I will never create a how to get your ex back program or how to get your ex back book. I can't do it because I don't think that you should try to get your ex back. Okay, so I totally understand if you have a strong feeling that you want your ex back. But again, as a person who's been studying this stuff for over 20 years now and coaching men from all over the world for the past 7 or 8 years already, I just want to tell you that I don't think you should try to get your ex back, and I would never take advantage of your pain and try to sell you a program like that. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why I don't think you should try to get your ex back right now. I don't think it's very healthy in terms of your mindset. And also, there's the following 4 reasons why I don't think you should try to go back to your ex at any point. First, number 1, she's going to remember everything that you did and all the mistakes you made that lowered her interest in you in the first place. She's not going to forget about that. So her actual image of you is permanently tainted. Even if you start doing everything right with her in terms of attraction and a romantic relationship, she's still going to remember all the stuff you did before that made her interest go down in the first place. And that's really, really hard to fight against. You're swimming upstream. And it's usually a current that you can't even get out of. It's usually too high. Okay, so she's going to remember all that stuff. And it's better to start with the woman who you've never made those mistakes with and doesn't see you that way and can see you for who you are, an attractive, awesome guy. Okay, so that's the first one. And then number 2, the problems that caused your breakup are still there. Whether she left you or you left her, there were reasons why that happened, and those reasons are still going to be there even if you get back together. So let's say you reconcile for 2 months or 2 years or 5. You haven't resolved those problems that caused the breakup yet. Now, if she still has some romantic interest in you, and you were the one who left her, it's a little more likely that you could get back together and then possibly resolve those issues together. But if you don't do that, those problems are still going to be there, and you're going to break up again, and you're going to go through this pain again. Okay, so that's number 2. And then number 3, if she left you, the odds are really high that her romantic interest level in you is already at 0, and it can never be raised again. And in fact, a lot of times a woman's interest in you will be negative, below 0, because she actively resents you by the time she leaves. A lot of women have 0 actual romantic interest in a man, and they continue to stay with them for a while because it's hard for them to break up with a guy. And they don't resent him or hate him enough yet to actually leave. It's hard for a woman to leave a man sometimes. Not for everyone, but for some of them it is. So they stay in that relationship for a long time, even though their romantic interest is 0, and the guy doesn't realize it. And then pretty soon she builds up enough resentment where her interest actually hits -1 and she actively resents him, and then she leaves. That's when she actually leaves. Okay, but the main point here is this. If a woman has 0 romantic interest in you when she meets you, or her interest in you falls to 0 at any point when you're with her, it can never be raised. She has to have at least 0.1, some positive romantic interest in you, for it to grow. If it hits 0 or it starts at 0, it's impossible to make her like you more romantically. She might respect you in other areas, she might like you as a friend, but if her romantic interest in you is 0, it's always going to be 0. It cannot be raised. And again, if she was the one who left you, odds are extremely high that her interest in you was all the way down to 0 and probably -1, where she actively resents you and there's no way she could come back. That's usually the case. Okay, and then lastly, the last reason why I don't think you should try to get your ex back, number 4, the woman that you remember in your mind doesn't exist. So the image that you have of your ex is a much more rosy picture of who she is than the reality of who she is. Okay, and that's normal. That's what mostly we do when someone breaks up with us. Again, our interest in them goes up, and then our mind creates this image of them that has only the positive aspects of them in it. You're ignoring all of the things that were not good about that person. And every single human being out there has positive and negative aspects. And when your interest in a woman is super high, you're only exclusively seeing the positive things. And you're cutting out all those negative situations that happened and all the downsides of being with her. And so let's say you work on yourself a lot and you learn about attraction and relationships and all this stuff that we talk about around here, and you get better at it, and then you attract her back. Well, your image of her is much better than her reality. And once you have a better understanding of how all these dynamics work, you're going to see her for who she really is over time the next time you're with her, and then you're not going to be as interested in her anymore. So she can't live up to this big pedestal that you're putting her on. Okay, so if you so strongly want her back and you think she's like the only woman in the world that could ever make you happy in a relationship, well, she's not going to be able to meet those expectations even if you do get her back. Okay, so for all of these reasons, no matter how you feel about getting your ex back, I highly recommend that no matter how painful it is, you kind of drop this. And if you're not ready to do that and you really want your ex back, I totally understand that. And if that's the case, there are lots of other books and programs and YouTube channels and stuff out there that will try to show you how to get your ex back. And if that's what you need to do, hey, go do it. Okay? I have no problem with that. Stop this presentation right now. Go learn how other people say to get your ex back. Try it out, whatever you got to do. And then if it doesn't work out, whenever you're ready, at that point, come right back to this point in this presentation and we'll move forward together. Okay, so if you just can't bring yourself to stop focusing on your ex and you want to try to get her back, hey, be my guest, you got to live your life the way you want to. And then if you decide that you don't want to do that anymore, come right back to right here in this presentation, and we'll move forward from there together. All right, so now that we talked about why I don't think you should try to get your ex back, let's start fresh and move forward. And to do that, we kind of need to figure out why this past relationship didn't work out and what we can learn for the next time so that this doesn't happen again, and so that your next relationship will last and you don't have to go through this pain anymore. Okay, so that's the next step. And so the first thing that we should do is try to figure out why your relationship ended. Okay, and there are 3 main reasons why a romantic relationship ends. And we're going to go over those briefly right now. And you can kind of think about it a little more and see if you can figure out which of these 3 reasons it was. And it could be 2 or all 3 of them. Okay, so the 3 main reasons why your relationship might have ended are: number 1, her romantic interest level in you. We touched on this a little bit before, but if a woman has positive interest in you, even if it's only a 1 and she's been with you for a long time, she's probably not going to leave you with some positive romantic interest in you. Again, if she breaks up with you, her interest was either already at 0 when she first met you, and she had some other agenda for being with you, because there are a lot of women out there who are in relationships with men and married to men who have always had 0 actual, real, genuine romantic interest in the man. It happens all the time. Maybe she likes that you have a stable career. Maybe she wants a green card to work in your country. Maybe she wants a residence permit. Maybe she wanted to be in complete control and was able to do that. Maybe there's a million reasons why a woman is with a man, and only one of them is genuine romantic interest. And then, even if she was genuinely interested, her interest may have fallen to 0 over the course of your relationship, and again, maybe even -1. And that's the main reason why breakups happen, is a woman's interest level in you. And so one of the mindset shifts that we should make right away, just to start teaching you the next steps, is switch your mindset from how much you feel towards a woman to how strongly she feels about you. Only focus on her interest in you. That's the first switch we got to make. It's very important when it comes to male-female dynamics, because her interest level is the foundation of your relationship, and your interest level is kind of assumed, implied, and not all that important. So if you tell me something like, oh, I really loved her, she was the one for me, I'm never going to meet anyone like her, okay, I understand that. However, it doesn't really matter in terms of your relationship with a woman. What matters is if she feels that way about you. Does she think she's never going to meet another guy like you? Does she feel that strongly about you? It's her feelings that matter the most. A woman's feelings towards you is the foundation of your relationship with her. And most of the time, if a breakup happens, especially if she leaves you, that means that she has 0 or -1 romantic interest in you, even if she respects you and likes you in other ways. Okay, so that's something that we around here focus on a lot, is a woman's romantic interest in you, and how to take it from where it starts and raise it until she's actually genuinely deeply in love with you, and then how to keep her in love with you. Because if you keep a woman deeply in love with you, odds are extremely low that you're going to go through a breakup unless you break up with her. Okay, so that's the first reason why it might have happened. And this is usually the most common reason why a breakup happens. The woman's interest level is 0 or -1. All right, and then next, number 2, the second reason why your relationship might have ended is your behavior. There are specific things that take a woman's interest level in the beginning stages of dating and raise it to the point where she's deeply in love with you. So it's not like she likes you or she doesn't. There's a scale of interest. And usually when you meet a woman, she's going to like you at like 3 or 4 out of 10, not 9 out of 10 already. And your goal in the first part of dating is to raise her interest from 2 or 3 or 4 or 7 all the way up to 9 or above out of 10. That's what dating is for. Okay, and if your behavior during that time didn't do that, well, if she's not genuinely deeply in love with you, that's already a big problem right off the bat when you commit to her. Because that's what that time period is for, raising her interest. That's all we're doing. And your behavior raises or lowers her interest, assuming it's not zero when you meet her. And once you're in a relationship, there are behaviors that maintain a woman's genuine romantic interest in you. And if you don't do those behaviors, her interest could also fall over time. And sometimes something you do makes her interest fall a lot at one time. But usually it happens over the course of months or years where you just do certain behaviors that lower her interest more and more over time until it finally hits 0 or -1, and then she leaves you. So if that's the case, then we got to correct this. So as we're moving forward, we're going to focus on her interest level, and we're going to raise and maintain her romantic interest in you. And we're going to look at our behaviors and make sure that our behaviors are supporting that and doing that for you. Okay, and then lastly, the third reason why your relationship might have ended is her character. Okay, so let's say she's genuinely interested in you and she's available when you meet her. And then you do everything right with her, you raise her interest, and now it's 9 out of 10 or above. Great. And then you do everything right to maintain her interest at 9 or above the entire time you're with her. Awesome. That's what we want to do. However, even if you do those things, if her character doesn't have certain characteristics, it's still gonna cause you problems and it could cause your breakup. Okay, so a woman must be interested in you and available when you meet her. And then you should also evaluate her character over the next couple of years before you marry her. And she must be great. Greatt. That's what we're looking for. And just briefly, that means that a woman must be giving instead of a taker. So sometimes she thinks about you and does things for you once in a while. Responsible. So you know that if she's in charge of paying the bill, she's going to do it on time. If you ask her to pick up the kids, she's not going to forget. She's responsible. She's relatively a responsible person. Emotionally stable, meaning that she has the appropriate emotions for the situation most of the time, instead of flying off the handle about everything. And then she must be agreeable, which means she has a flexible attitude. She's not hard-headed and stubborn, and she doesn't ruin everything for everyone. Okay, so she must be agreeable or you're going to have problems over time. And then she must be trustworthy, which means that her actions match her words and she's loyal to you. You know, you can leave town for a while and she's not going to do something with another guy. And then lastly, she must be trusting. She must be able to fully trust you once you've earned it. And if she doesn't have those great Greatt qualities, she can't be the right woman for you. And even if you do everything right with her, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to build the kind of relationship that you want. And of course, that can be a cause for your breakup as well. And it could also be her scars and baggage. If a woman has too many unhealed scars and too much baggage from the past, and she brings that into your relationship, that can cause a lot of problems as well, even if you do everything right and she is genuinely interested in you. So those are the 3 factors that cause most breakups in the world between men and women. So ask yourself, which of these 3 reasons caused your breakup or your divorce? Was it just her romantic interest in you started at 0 or it went all the way down to 0? And be honest with yourself about that. This is hard for a male ego to take, but the more honest you are with yourself, the easier it will be for you to move forward powerfully. So was it just her romantic interest in you? Or was it your behavior? Was there something that you did that caused her interest level to go down? Or was it just her character? So you did everything or most things right with her. However, her character just didn't allow you guys to create the kind of relationship that you want. So which of these 3 reasons, or maybe 2 or 3 of them, caused your breakup? Think about that for a while. And then, when you're ready, Start fresh and do everything right with the next woman. Because remember, we're not going to try to get our ex back. Hey, we want a clean slate. We're going to start off clean and we're going to start fresh. And then we're just going to make sure we do everything right with the next woman and make sure she has those characteristics that are necessary for us to have the kind of relationship that we want. And then we're going to go forward from there once you're ready. So again, like I said in the beginning, give yourself that time, that 2 months for every year you were with her, to allow your emotions to reset. And then when you genuinely feel ready for it, let's start fresh and do everything right with the next amazing woman that you meet. And when you're ready for that, I highly recommend that you get our best-selling Attract and Keep Her system, because we talk about exactly how to do everything right with a woman from the first moment that you meet her until you've been with her for 75 years to make sure that her interest level in you goes up over time and that she falls deeply in love with you and her interest level is at least 9 out of 10 or higher. And then once it gets there, how to maintain that for as long as you want to be with her. So if you want to learn exactly how to do that step by step, and also really dive into figuring out what caused your breakup or your divorce, then go grab the Attract and Keep Her system right now by going to attractandkeepher.com/system. That's attractandkeepher.com/system. And I guarantee you, after you go through Attract and Keep Her a couple of times, you're going to know for sure why your relationship ended, and you're going to know exactly what to do from here on out for the next time you meet an amazing woman that you want to be with. So if you're interested in that, again, grab Attract and Keep Her right now if you haven't already. And maybe you're not ready for that, and maybe you just want to date around for a little bit and have some fun. Well, if that's the case, then go get the Good Guy Guide right now. Inside the Good Guy Guide, we talk about the attraction phase of dating. And so if you're just kind of going for hookups, but you want to do it in a way that leaves both of you smiling in the morning and in a way that's good for you and the women that you're dating, then go to datingadviceformenwholovewomen.com/GGG. That's datingadviceformenwholovewomen.com/GGG, and pick up your copy of the Good Guy Guide if you haven't already. And even if you're not ready for a relationship, just starting off with the Good Guy Guide is going to show you a lot about male-female dynamics that you might have been missing before. So I highly encourage you to get this, even if you do want a relationship, because the attraction side of things is important as well. And then lastly, if you just got out of a long relationship or a long marriage, it's likely that you haven't been on a date in a very long time. Okay, and if that's the case, then I encourage you to get the Flirting Master Program right now. So inside the Flirting Master Program, we talk about how to have attractive conversations with women every single time. So we go through all of the elements that should be present in any conversation you have with a woman that you're romantically interested in, so that she's more attracted to you when you're done talking to her than when she started, assuming that she's interested in you at least a little bit to begin with. So we go through all of those elements one by one, and I also walk you through an entire conversation with a woman and how I see it, so that you can apply that the next time you're out there talking to a woman. Again, these are all just skills that we can learn, and I'm going to share what works with you in real life with real women inside the Flirting Master Program. And not only that, there's also a bonus module where we show 14 examples of good and bad flirting in real life, so you can see what it actually looks like when an actual man is talking to an actual woman in the real world. And that will allow you to see how the principles that we talk about in the Flirting Master Program actually play out when you're really talking to a woman, when you're having a coffee with her or you're out to dinner. Okay, so if you want to make sure that when you start dating, those dates go well for you, then go to attractandkeepher.com/FM. That's attractandkeepher.com/FM and get the Flirting Master Program right now. And either way, whether you get any of these programs right now or not, I sincerely hope that you take what I talked about in this presentation to heart. This relationship didn't end because there's something wrong with you or anything like that. It's not about you, even though it feels personal. Okay, there is no failure, only learning exists. And if you can put your ego aside and ask yourself honestly why your relationship ended, and you dedicate yourself to learning how to do it better next time, I know for sure that you can have the kind of relationship that you want to have with a woman. And that's why I'm here. And we also have a lot of free stuff to offer you in the meantime as well, if you're interested in that. And we even have full free programs for you and books for you because I legitimately want to help you out. And so if you're interested in our free content, then go to datingadviceformenwholovewomen.com. That's datingadviceformenwholovewomen.com. And you can get a lot more information about male-female dynamics, dating, and relationships over there whenever you want. And again, I sincerely hope this presentation was helpful to you. I know it can be extremely painful to go through a breakup and especially a divorce when it can get really messy. And I don't envy you being in this position right now. I totally understand you. I felt it before, and most men out there have felt it. And again, if you just give yourself the time that you really need, put your ego aside and figure out what really happened, and then be open to learning how to do it better next time, and you will get where you want to go. I'm Jim Wolfe with Dating Advice for Men Who Love Women, and I'll talk to you later.